Yes, good morning, everyone. Welcome to, is it Memorial Day? I don't have to really need to mention, but I'm a World War II veteran, what's left of me. I can't say I accomplished very much when I was in the British Army. Royal Sussex Regiment, all that sort of stuff. You know, but I had some interesting exploitations there, but I won't talk to you about that. No, that doesn't help anything. But I was always a stand-up guy. I even beat up some officers. I'll tell you that story if you want to. He called me a dirty Jew, and I hit him in the face and threw him in the bathtub. Another officer comes in and says, "What's going on here?" And the officer in the bath says, "Oh, I just tripped into the bath." I do all kinds of... I was able to hypnotize my whole platoon. I could make them do anything I wanted. But I'm a good boy now. Because I've learned that hypnosis is what's wrong with everybody. It's called trauma. And trauma, once established, alters your whole future. And you can struggle against it all you want. You won't win. Sin is sin, and if sin is a swamp, and what sin is, maybe I'll touch on it, but I want to speak about the veterans first. And just start off the program with a little humor. But I don't think it's funny that women are willing to die for that others might live. There are certain kinds of people who die because they love to eat, kill, and maim and murder. We can talk about ISIS and people like that. Nazi Germany, Russia, you know, they still got a problem over there. Oh, Merkel's got changed a few things over in Germany. But I always love what Jesus says, no greater love that a man has to lay down his life for his friend. I'm not sure I could throw myself on a hand grenade to save somebody's life. I'm not sure. You never know what you're going to do until the kind of time comes that you do it. And I don't expect that person, or I don't think that person who throws his body on a hand grenade about to go off to save the life of his friends. I don't think he thought of that at that time. And I think that's a wonderful way to live, because you really don't know what you're going to do when the time comes to sacrifice yourself. I don't want you to sacrifice yourself in the sense that you have to go protecting everybody, like the person who throws his body on a landmine or a hand grenade. Just to save the life of his friend, impulse, immediately. It's the most magnificent thing you can do. You have a kind of buddy system in the American military. When I was in the military, it was really crap. All I got was a gun, bayonet, a bag, and you take your bayonet, you stab the bag, and it didn't carry over to my wife, so don't worry. I didn't have to...
Did you want to get smacked in front of everybody?
I mean, see, I was satisfied with the bag then. That was sufficient for... But the point is, then you march and your feet bleed, and that's all he taught me, how to be a soldier. And now Americans, I'm sure it's better in England now, but in America we have something very, very special. I don't think we have freedom in England like we have here. In England you can't have a gun. Here you have a gun. That's a wonderful thing. That gun is to bring down a government when it's time to bring down a government. And the danger is, how clever is that government? Because they're going to intimidate you to make the first strike. And you won't know how to deal. What's happening to our country is we do not understand a very simple principle. I was looking for a scripture that says it, but I wish I had the scripture in front of me. I mean, there's somebody who will remember. There's a part of the Bible where it says something about love is the lack of love is nothing but a tingling bell in the brass, whatever it is. And love suffers long. Love does not. Do you have that?
Love is patient.
Love is patience. Love is kind. Love endures all things.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say, you need to read that. It endures all things, right? Mm-hmm. And I wish I could remember the rest because I never read the Bible. I just pick. I get these things. There's something wrong with the Bible. It's missing something. And Christianity is losing ground. But Christianity is the epitome of all religions, except it shouldn't be a religion. It is salvation from religion. In other words, it's something everybody can accept in the whole world, because you don't have to ascribe to certain regimental behaviors, and playing with beads and going down on your knees. Corinthians, do you have the Bible with you?
Yeah, I have my iPhone.
That's good. Maybe you can. Yeah, I would love to read the verse, because I'm never prepared with what I'm going to do. See, never prepared. So if it's okay, it's much nicer that way. I don't like it nice and smooth and prepared. This is better. But you understand when I'm talking, it suffers long. So, in order for us to hold on to our freedom, and that which our veterans have fought for. Now remember, the other side doesn't fight for their freedom, they fight to take away your freedom. And there it is. Is it really here? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It does not boast. That's me. I better shut up about that. Okay. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. It doesn't put people down. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there is prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. That's an interesting thing. That's it. Now see, now look at it says. Love never fails. But where there is prophecies, they will cease. Now what I never saw that before. Where there's knowledge, it will pass away. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I've always said you don't need knowledge. Let me just boast for a little bit, if you don't mind. Okay, you can have this back now.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Now, what did I say here? I lost it. Now, what was I saying? I'm old, I forgot.
Knowledge will fade away.
Yeah, knowledge. That's an interesting thing. I hadn't noticed that before. That's the very thing I'm saying. When I pick up the Bible, which isn't very often. Let me just stop for a minute. When I started writing all my books, I was sick of all the Christians. They say, "Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus?" I says, "Yes." "Well, could you show him to me?" He says, "Well, he's inside." I said, "Where's the inside?" They didn't know. And we're losing Christians. The Christians are actually diminishing. And in Europe, you could throw a bowling ball down a church and you won't hit a Christian. You'd hit a what do you call them, ISIS? Somebody. You hit one of those people. It's because of the ministers' knowledge. Blata, blata, yappa, 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 Jesus this and Jesus that. And you try your best to act it out. All the world's a stage. Men and women are really actors. Shakespeare knew that. So there's a kind of knowledge that we need that isn't the kind of knowledge we read. Oh, it rhymes. I have to remember that. See? So, but the interesting thing is for a person who didn't write the scriptures, if you look at all my books, which is too much for you, it's overwhelming. You only need one, basically. But if you open any page, what I said I wouldn't do, or thought I wouldn't do, is to be like your typical Christian minister, who blabbers away, "Do you know Jesus?" and makes you learn verses and chapters and spout them out and give you applause like an actor on the stage. That's why we're failing. And then, of course, you've got the Catholic Church, which I kind of like their way of life, their ideals, but they've been infiltrated by the socialists. I've known that for a long time. The communists have infiltrated the Catholic Church with perverted people and to bring it down. So they jump through the hoops. They're like spies. And then they start to molest the kids to give the Catholic Church a bad name. I just want you to know that's what I know, for sure. I have information. I'm in the news business. My son we gather all information. We can't always give you everything, what's going on. But you're losing your country. And you're losing your country because, and it's a shame about losing our country because our soldiers, by the way, I just heard that a group of veterans who've done several tours of duty in Afghanistan and other places, they're going back by themselves. They're going to go back and finish the job. I can't believe that a person can actually say, "I'm going to go die if I have to, but I'm going to get those bastards." See? Now compare them with whoever it applies to. And a lot of you are here, many of you are still here. I can actually look at a face and look at a person and say, "You're not going to do it, and you're not going to do it. You're going to stand up for yourself because I know. And you're going to do it only because I kicked your butt for a long time."
I'm quite easy.
But there's so many weasels in America, no fathers. And there's an order in the Bible which makes the man the head of the home and the direct connection to God. But the point is, man born of woman is a direct connection to the woman. Because every man born of woman is the seed of the original, the imperfect seed of the imperfect man. So man born of woman is not able to deal with a woman who's still Eve. Every woman is an Eve. And she needs to have a man say, "Put down that fruit." I was going to make a good joke there, but I kept it to myself. And so, what your communists has infiltrated your country. See, this is Veterans Day, so I can talk about a little bit of war. What you have allowed, and what certain people, your politicians that you've elected, have allowed, is the very enemy we were fighting during World War I. The fascists aren't so smart. They're just violent bastards, see? And Hitler has a way of rousing anger and hostility, and there's certain preachers that do that on every corner. They've got liquor stores on every corner in the inner cities. And the black Americans, God rest their souls, or please waken their souls, they're back in their plantation again. It's a money plantation. They give you $1 and you have to vote for them. See that? Maybe an iPhone too. See, and it's all with your money. So you've got 110 million people subject to your president, and then you have the rest of the people aligned against it, and they're going to turn against us, you'll see. It's all going to happen. And I know how to fix it. There's so many things I can say. I have the knowledge. I'm not smart. I'm not educated. I hated school. I saw all my teachers dead people walking around. All knowledge and no common sense. And now you're beginning to find out that, I'm not sure if I'm making thoughts that add one to the other and not straying. I don't mean to stray. But now you begin to find out that knowledge kills. The knowledge of good is back to the scriptures again. The knowledge of good is no damn good. So all knowledge and no common sense makes a person a dull boy, right? Now, I haven't got a whit of education. I don't like to be educated. Every now and then I meet a person I can talk to who's educated, oriented, and decent. He's got a combination of intellect and common sense. But just look how subtle the kind of person, excuse me, you, I don't think you, but I'm talking to an audience. You have elected. You've elected the devil. And you've elected the devil because for the last several generations, we have become less and less American. American, as I came to this country, was, for the most part, except for the South, which were a lot of bastards, okay. But Martin Luther King changed things, thank God. And for a little while, they had a little freedom, the movement towards it. They didn't fight for their own freedom, that's the only thing. See, but the point is, they got freedom, and slowly but surely they got corralled in the inner cities and got dumbed down and protected by the gangs so they wouldn't have any standing, any worth. Only what their worth is $1, whatever they get paid on welfare, to vote for that which supports them. So what's happening is that there's a piece of the puzzle. Now, that's not the word I want to use. It is the machinery of how your mind works. Jesus did not tell us what that is. And you can't pass what Jesus could do because he had the key. He had the key, but there's something missing in his inherited message. Because all the things he says are beautiful, but the trouble is it won't make the person he is. He said, all the things I do, you can also do. Become perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. How clearer can you get? And the cleric says, you can't be perfect. You just believe in him, and when you die, you'll be in paradise. No, you won't. No, you won't at all. There's a piece of let me find the word for it. There's a piece of the puzzle that represents what I've discovered in physics. A direct connection to the beginning. And the beginning is the infinitely hot. Now, let me just add a little science to it, if you don't mind. Because we are all products of divine science, are we not? We're all products of it. I don't see how a hot stove can create a universe. I mean, something infinitely hot. I always had trouble with science when it says the Big Bang started with a little tiny thing, as big as the period at the end of the sentence, and it blew up and created a universe. Yes, they have to be out of their minds. First of all, the little dot at the end of the sentence is equivalent to a star millions of light years away, and if you got close enough to it, it's as big as Pluto, or bigger. It's a fiery furnace. And see, all relativity, how far away from you are it? See, they've forgotten relativity. Depends on how you see it from a distance. If you're looking back in time and you could see that infinitely hot singularity, which is not the same thing as a sun, it's created the sun. It's infinitely hot, it will never go out. The sun will go out one day, but the infinitely hot won't. They created the sun. So when you're looking at something rhetoric like that, you've got to say, that doesn't make sense. Hot, as small as a period at the end of the sentence, it doesn't make sense. I can give you 100 arguments. No, it's huge. And so I call it an oven. An oven can't create a house. See, everything's made of spinning hot things, little heat. Everything spins, it has energy in it. We call that hot. So where I'm going to be a scientist before I finished. I just needed to make a point, and I forgot the point. See, I'm getting old. So you have to excuse me, but there's got to be a beginning for human beings, and there's got to be a beginning of love. Everything's in its place, gravity, everything, time, matter, universe, and we appear. And we're not the same as animals. We have a consciousness. And the animals will simply respond to the pressure of the environment by running and fighting. Now, in the beginning, we need to talk about this subject in the beginning. Because in the beginning there was a man, and he made him from the dust of the earth. Well, that's simple enough. I'm eating a chicken, and it's the dust of the earth. I eat a plum, it's the dust of the earth. The miracle, how did a plum tree grow, or a fig tree grow, and turn earth into food? You can't eat food. There's some magic there. There's magic. But there's also magic in creating a universe from something hot. Because it's got to start from some kind of energy. I'll teach you a little lesson here. I'll give you a little clue just for the fun of it. It doesn't really belong in the talk, if you don't mind. But something infinitely hot. Now, I can't believe there's something infinitely hot unless there's something infinitely infinite that will put it there. And so I had a lot of trouble in my working with my thesis to align myself to something just appearing in a void, which is infinitely cold. In the beginning there was nothing, and darkness was on the face of the deep. See? Now what was this darkness? Nothing. Can't imagine nothing. Can't imagine nothing before time. Can't do it. Not possible. Not possible. Your mind can't grasp it. But you can imagine something infinitely hot appearing in the void. It's not a sky. It's a void. It's black, dark, cold. Colder than gravity. Gravity's still warm. You just can't measure the warmth. There's enough warmth in gravity to create a universe in my thesis. Because it's infinitely long. Infinitely long. If it isn't infinitely long, it isn't gravity. It goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It goes on through the universe. It creates the universe, and then it proves its existence because they say the universe is expanding, and yet it doesn't lose any energy. The temperature of the whatever gravity is, the field, is always the same. There's an infusion of gravity. It's coming from somewhere. A balloon can't blow up itself. It's got to have, if it's going to get bigger, it's going to have more energy. Scientists are machines. Only every now and then you get a scientist who has intuition. So I'm coming back to because we're human beings and animals don't create anything. They kill each other and eat each other. And so I'm coming back to the fact that we'll leave Adam and Eve alone and all the rest of it, because it's the nature of Adam and Eve, the tendency to be subject to everything evil. It spreads through the human race. And through the human race we have thousands of different races and colors and creeds. And they're all products of their circumstance. So you're born in Borneo, you'll be a cannibal. You're born in the West Bank, you could end up a suicide bomber. You see, you could be an ISIS. You could also be an Einstein. See? So what causes one person to be really evil or want to kill good? Because the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil are both evil. And that's the reason why I saw my teachers walking around as dead people. There's only one teacher I ever met, and I was 7 years old, and I never forget him. And I have a terrible memory. What was your name, Anne? Oh. I have a terrible memory. But I remember this man, he must have been 6'3". In England, that's a big guy. But he was about 60, 70 years old. Had a bald head. I can still see him. That's the only teacher I can remember. Except one teacher who had such a bad breath I had to sit at the back of the room. Silitosis. It sounds like silly toes. It could have been much better. But he carried himself in a very special way. It's almost like the way you pick out Jesus, but not nearly as powerful. He only said to me, "Good morning," or something like that. And I never forget him. I just want to jump to the present. Yesterday I was picking up my laundry. I had this cleaned up. It's 40 years old. It's come back into style again. I hate to spend money. I don't want to walk around with fancy clothes. But I have to look respectable. And so I'm getting into my car with my freshly creased and clean clothes. and there's a couple of what you call lowlifes sitting there. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? Things like that. And it's the kind of person you'd want to ignore, sitting there trying to get you involved. And so, as I was getting in the back of, putting my stuff in the back of the car, he said, "Hi, how you doing?" I actually heard it faintly. And then I realized there's 3 people sitting there, derelicts, looking like derelict. Is that the right word, derelict? Derelicts. And guess what I did? I said, did you say something to me? And he says, "Yes, I did." He says, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm fine. How are you doing?" It's a nice day, and I thank you for being... I said something nice to him. And he came up to my car, and he came up to my car, and he says, "You are beautiful. You are just..." I don't know, he was crying, because I spoke to him as a human being, not like walk away from the guy saying, "Hey, hello, how are you doing?" Because you suspect them on them to draw you in. I'm not afraid of being drawn in. They're going to be drawn into me. There's not going to be drawing. See? And he was absolutely honest. We rolled down the window. He couldn't say that. It was like he was crying. "Thank you for talking to me that way." I said, "I don't talk to anybody any different. You're a human being." That could have turned into, for a lot of people, a fight or get killed. That comes under the heading of looking at people as human beings. Well, God, you can't tell them by looking at them at all. And if they were terrorists or murderers, I think I can handle those things too. They don't know how to deal with what I just was reading, which covered a lot of ground, and I'm not an intellectual, and as you can hear, but I love common sense. And I'm coming back to the knowledge of good and evil. I don't have the knowledge of good and evil. I haven't ever had knowledge pushed down my throat. See, I'm coming back to my subject. And I've seen all my teachers smelly, just nothing. And I see the people walking in the streets, nothing. But I still would be polite to them, don't get me wrong, but this one was very disheveled and badly dressed, and lots of beards and dirty. I didn't give him money, I wouldn't. He didn't ask for money, I didn't give him any money. I might have. I didn't want to insult him. If he would ask me, I would have given it. See, I had to be careful. You have to know inside you, so beautifully and naturally, how to deal with every situation in a perfect way. Be you therefore perfect as the Father in heaven is perfect. Jesus stands in front of a whole crowd of angry SOBs, willing to kill a girl because she was adulterous. And he steps in between, not bothering a bit. He says, "Is our right to stone him?" Yes, you have that right. It's the law. Who is without sin, cast the first stone. Simple. Who would have thought of it? An uneducated person can't think on his feet. He has all knowledge and no common sense. And they're beginning to prove that not having an education is more entrepreneurial. It leans towards entrepreneurial. As me, I'm an entrepreneur, in a sense that whatever I've been able to earn, I saved to do what I love. And guess what I love to do? I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a physicist. But my father died when he was 42. My mother was 54. I never recognized never knew my grandparents at all. And so, or any of my relationships on my father's side. My father was a good man. And I was carefree. It was almost like I was Moses. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging. But like that, in a reed boat, going to safety, and not being corrupted, like the rest of the Jewish people who are being beaten and degraded, and many of them becoming like the Pharaoh's people. That's why Moses had to kill 20 million of them with the golden calf. He had to get rid of them. And he walked in the desert until the rest of them died. And he had a new army of new people because they were so programmed. And he didn't understand the machinery of deprogramming. And some people you can't deprogram. And to hate to put it about that, you've got to kill them. If you can't deprogram them, and they're traitors, that's what we do in this country. If you're a traitor, you get hanged, don't you, basically. You get put away. So what I'm trying to say here is that basically we have people from every race and color and creed here. It's the perfect pace, it's the perfect place where we can have peace on earth and goodwill to men. But instead, we've been infiltrated. You see, the Soviets are clever. Marxism and all the other people you can name. I don't like to remember their names, I just remember Karl Marx and all the rest of it. And he was Jewish. Jewish people could be very brilliant or very wicked. They really go to the extremes. I have to tell you that. See, Karl Marx is one of them. And so he and others, Engels and people like that, they discovered by watching family how Adam and Eve, the system that leads to death through one man, death through sin, spread through the human race. And if you go to every place on earth, even not amongst ISIS, not amongst certain kinds of people who are hard and wicked, see, and have a dictator that won't allow anything, and people just yielding, becoming murderers, and yielding in a sense. In Germany there was two kinds of people: those who could smell the burning crematoriums and got sick and couldn't do anything, and those who enforced it, made sure if you complained that you'd be one of them. See, now America is becoming the same way. I see all the signs of it. And here is a scripture. Here's a scripture that if you understand it, see, I was talking about the machinery, and it took me a little while to get around to it. And the scripture is as follows: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In contradistinction, it's doing unto others as was done unto you. That's how it spreads. And that's how it becomes a system.
We're about 50 minutes in. Do you want to see if anybody has any questions?
Yes.
Do unto others as you would have them do.
Can you stand up, please? You're a sweet lady and my friend.
Thank you.
You've come a long way. You have. She's a lady who couldn't speak up.
That's true. Very true. Oh. It has to do with the spontaneity, because
The word is excellent.
But to me, that's a programming in itself, because as we grow, we react to different things, and we're spontaneous. We develop a character, so we kind of react in a certain way.
And that's how we
Like-
develop character, yeah.
Right, and I remember you pointing out a few people that they would stand up. Well, a few weeks ago, let me back up. A few weeks ago, you asked me if I would, if someone came to burn my house or was going to kill my children with a gun, would I stand up for myself? And I couldn't answer you.
Isn't that strange?
And I knew I was the type of character that would, but
That would what?
that I would protect my children. I
I
wouldn't
hope
let them burn
so.
my house. But within that, I realized that's a little bit of a programming. That character, I knew I would stand up and I would do this. But I also know now I would deal in the moment, and I would watch, because I was in a situation one time where my life was threatened, but I was divinely guided, and in that moment, I was very aware, and I followed that. I was seeing what to do,
Without
and
knowing,
I did it without
what came-
knowing,
without
but I
came-
did it immediately. And what I noticed later, if I had gone into that, into my programming, like, oh, he's not really going to hurt
Doubted
me,
it- doubted
or
yourself.
doubted it,
Yeah.
I would be dead. And so what I notice is that's, even though my character would protect and not let my house burn, but I may see in that moment, let that house burn, because you may save your lives, but you may lose your house. So there's a place where you don't come from that. You watch that. Oh, I don't know how. Let me see.
All right,
Let me
I
see.
think you know it. I know what you're saying.
You're very aware, and you watch what's being shown you to do, and you obey just like you're in the military. I remember when that happened to me, I was like I was a sergeant in the Army, and I just did it. It's like, yes, sir, I'm going to get shot in the back, but I'm going.
It's not something you
It
can
was
plan.
like I didn't think, didn't anything.
That's
Oops, sorry. Didn't think, just went, just obeyed.
May I
and-
stop you there for a minute?
Yes.
But you can also think and do the wrong thing. You can have two different impulses. One that does it wrong,
But that's
without
what,
knowing, without realizing you planned it wrong, and the other one is it does it right without you planning it right.
yeah, but you
It's
know
all
what?
intuitive.
It didn't feel like an impulse. It was.
No, it wasn't an impulse.
It wasn't an impulse
No.
that I was responding to.
You just knew.
It was just, I just knew.
You just knew.
You're doing this. That's
Yeah.
it. No ifs, ands, buts.
You're like the man
No
who throws
questioning.
himself on the hand grenade.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was going to do that.
Right, right.
He just did it.
So it wasn't really but there are instincts where somebody would throw themselves on the hand grenade, but it's a developed, I guess I want to say it's a developed instinct. From
Not
it's
quite.
Not,
It is developed. But the very worst of all criminals can suddenly see a house on fire, see a dog burning, a person burning, and run in and rescue his life. In that moment, his life changes.
okay.
But for the most of us, it's lots of little things.
So somehow in that moment he got divinely
Like the
guided
thief
and
on the
saw
cross.
and did. Okay.
The thief on the cross.
Okay.
He was a bad guy all his life. The two were doing the same thing.
But it's almost like there's two different places
You're right.
that
Inwardly. there's two
yes, you're
different places.
inwardly yes.
Correct.
It's I don't know how to explain it. other
So
than-
the duty of all of us is to find that place, to find where we're coming from, where we ought to be, who made us, and and so that we can be loyal to who made us. That's it, because we can't chart our own. Otherwise, we are just an animal without the intuitiveness to build this house, to make the iPhones, and do all these wonderful things, and do unto others what was done unto you. and make a better world and express the purpose of God on earth as it is in heaven. See? That's all possible. But we miss it in the scriptures. We have what it says, do unto others what was done unto you. Be still and know I am God. And there's some other extra wording on the end of that, but that's the most important part. But what is being still? That's the word. What's the machinery? How do you knock on the door? You knock and you shall find, right? That's right. So, and the knowledge of good and evil. What does it mean by that? It means that we can be God. We can decide our future. We know what's right and wrong, but it's actually backwards.
But we don't.
Because in our separation from God was temptation that separated us from God, separated Adam. But God in his wisdom knew that if he made everybody to obey him, we wouldn't be any different from animals because we hadn't made the choice. See, so he has to have an evil, whatever the evil was. Maybe it was a war in heaven and they fall down to earth and they have no bodies. And so I can tell you that the spirits in this room, dark spirits, and they operate in people, not necessarily in this room, but just in most rooms, evil has no body. And good doesn't have a body we know about, but he does. Because we're in the likeness of him, so we must have a form. So it all depends upon how we respond, and because you can't serve two masters, right? You can respond to one which is evil and think it's right when it's wrong, because you've got the knowledge of good and evil and academe, and not to say that it hasn't got a value. But the point is, if you shove knowledge or religion down someone's throat, something has to be displaced. Good is displaced with the knowledge of good, so you have a swelled ego. And if I was to destroy a country, I would be clever enough to take over the universities. And if I had enough money, I'd buy the media, which Russia does have, and slowly but surely demoralize and degrade people and mislead them, making knowledge more important, making money more important, making your future more important, making something of yourself more important, making your goals achievable. None of that works. Seek first the kingdom of God and the right way. That's all. And all other things shall be added to you. What we do, because in our broken state, we're disconnected from God as a result of generation. Through the generation, through one man's sin, and death through sin spreads it. So you get your programming from your parents, who may be as good as they might be, are not good and do it enough. See, and so whatever culture you're in, you add the culture to it. But deep in every culture, you can't come across the border and leave your culture behind. You can't leave your foibles behind. You can't get rid of your behaviors behind, because that behavior is evil. Everyone, even little children, do unto the kids at school what was done to them. It's called bullies. And so there are just a few bullies run the school, right? Not in my school, not in my house, not in my country. That's what Americans are made of. It used to be. Their heyday is past. And there's something about doing unto others what is done unto you. It's a system of things. It depends on who sets it in motion. That person who sets it in motion will own everybody. Because if I see, I'm a very good hypnotist. You wouldn't know I did it. I can mesmerize anybody in this room, and you wouldn't know it, even him. You wouldn't know it. I don't mean he's strong. He's no weakling. But still, he can have a wife that knows how to get him. See? And because we're born without the father's influence, or he's weak, or he's too strong, and either one doesn't work. And therefore, he looks to the woman for reassurance, and the woman isn't free from she needs a St. George and the Dragon. She's still captured in her body. She still says, you know, why don't you eat the fruit? Why don't you just make something of yourself? See, I'll give you what you want. Now give me what I want. I want power over you. See, and that's what's happening in our country. We've got everything backwards. We've got the women running everything. And the men are just disappearing. It's all encouraged. Then if the women are divorced, if you increase the divorce rate and there's women and children, then you've got the government. But then the government is the one that's done all this. Made same-sex marriage, and God knows what, made all the other perversions, and gave them distinction and meaning. They can still vote. Why do you want to make them special, like they did in Ireland? See, we have fallen away from grace. We need the Ten Commandments and the others, the ancillary ones, because they don't work by themselves. We need the Constitution, which is magnificent, absolutely magnificent. But it's not for good people, not for me. It's for me to defend it, to make sure nobody hurts my family. And it's for me to go out there and fight the war, so I can defend my family and other people's family. This is a good country, but it's disintegrating. And to the degree you can cause it to disintegrate through the schools and the arts, you know, the Piss Christ with the crucifix upside down, and make it a work of art, etc., etc., and everybody comes to admire that. Yes, sir.
I have a question and a comment, I guess.
That's good.
As a chiropractic physician, I have to follow HIPAA guidelines. I can't disclose any personal information about the person that's being treated, you know. But my son in public school, this Common Core came out, and I asked them when I did some research, I said, you can share my son's Social Security, sex, religious preference, you know, race, all that information, test scores with the government and other universities without my consent? And the more they looked, oh, I don't think we can do that. I said, you check. And then they share that with different big corporations. So it's so interesting to me, you know, the reason I come and listen to you when I'm back in town and I have my son, my daughter-in-law here. I've got one grandchild, and I know that things are deteriorating. And as kind of the patriarch of the family, I feel a responsibility to
You do.
To do
Well,
the
what
best
did you
to
mean
help
by
them.
the way you started off? You know, the government can do this. Is there no resistance to that
Well, you know, I
for
made
your
it.
grandchildren? For your grandchildren?
Yeah, I emailed the president of the school. I'm not for Common Core. We've homeschooled.
Yeah, but
some
how
of-
does that
we've
help you?
homeschooled our kids.
How does it help you from being brainwashed by Common Core?
Well, my kids to be brainwashed by Common Core.
How do you stop that?
Don't
What
let
you
them.
do is take them out of school.
Yeah, homeschool them. Yeah.
School.
And so we've done that. You know, different times we've homeschooled our kids, then they would go back in and participate in sports and kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, kind of picking your battle, so to speak.
Well, that's the battle you better pick, because once your kids get tangled up, then you've got sex you've got to deal with. Because once you loosen them from the ground of their grandfather, once you've loosened their loyalty, once you've exposed them to this world without any understanding of what the machinery and the defense against the machine, you've lost them. It's too good. You won't be able to get him back.
Yeah, there's
Because by
like,
default, you lose them by default. So try to get what isn't default back again. See?
can't do it.
Once they got them, and they start to program them and teach them lies about the American way of life,
Well, one of those
or
questions,
ridicule them.
one of the questions they said is a Palestinian terrorist who goes into a restaurant and blows up several Jewish children,
Yeah.
you know, I think it said a dozen or something. Is that an act of terror, or is that just a retaliation of an oppressed
It's an
people
act
of
of
war?
terror.
And so I heard that, I thought, is that really going to come up as a question on my son's test for history? And then they said, well, is George Washington any different than a Palestinian fighting for their land or what they believe? And I thought, you just took George Washington and likened him to a terrorist, and then realizing that innocent, you know, children in Israel, that they are a soldier in a battlefront. And then, so I thought, is it really going to be that bad? And then he had a question come up that was similar to that.
It's
and I was like,
it's
no.
going to be that bad and worse. Because slowly but surely your children are being violated. And most of the media are children who've been educated, and they're communists who are now programmed to think they're American.
Yeah.
And they don't know it. And so I need to be pushed forward, but the trouble is, I don't get much support from all my friends. They don't know how to live the life the way they should be living their life, and talk to the next door neighbor in a way that will either make them intrigued with what they say or walk away from you. But it's better to know who your friends really are to begin with, because when this country begins to fall and you're going to have civil war, you better know what your next door neighbor is like and what you can expect from him.
True.
So I'm always testing people without any guile, without any purpose. I always make my point. I'm always a stand-up guy. Always. Maybe I'll take some time. Maybe I'll see some errant way and in some impropriety, but wait for the right time. And the right time doesn't depend upon my time. All of a sudden, I'm standing up and saying the things that I hadn't planned to say. Always works out. Just like the experience with the gentleman I told you was sitting there, you know, all dirty and unkept. And they said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And they do that to all people to get them drawn in. But I'm not afraid of that. I said, "Did you say something?" "Yeah." He said, "How are you doing?" I said, "How are you doing?" You see, how's things going with you? "We need some help." "No, thank you, you're fine, I'm strong." And he comes up to the window and he's crying, literally crying, thanking me. "You are a decent person." I said, "There aren't many, are there?" See that?
When you shared that story first, you know, I've moved away and we came back. I've commented to my son, I go, I can't believe kind of the homeless and, you know, the will work for food sign. I've been out of the state for, you know, they're everywhere. They're just walking around. And, you know, a lot of them I know have meth addictions and they live in a house. They go out and make money and they followed them, you know, back to their home and drugs.
The country is not stand-up. They're not a stand-up people anymore. They're too busy with their new normal. Pleasure, excitement, drugs, alcohol, sex, copulating in LA like dogs. See?
Yeah.
And there's no divorce. It's all designed to destroy the virtue. You cannot conquer a noble people. Cannot conquer a noble people who live by the law, even if it's living by the law honestly, and not really having the machinery of being strong enough to shine like a light and encourage others. When you go to church every week, do you think people get better? No,
Stay worse.
they get worse. That's why Christianity is disintegrating, all by itself.
We watched a video last night on YouTube of it was in China, wasn't it? And they showed a little boy playing with a toy or a broom on the sidewalk. And a guy comes up and stomps on him, crushes his face.
That's what they do.
And people walked by. And then even when the guy fled, most of the people would look at the child bleeding, this
Yeah.
little toddler, and with his head.
But it happens in
And they they
in
would-
America too, you know.
Like I said, there's probably areas in the inner city where the same thing would happen. Some, shooting and just, oh, glad it wasn't me, and they just walked right by that.
You know, they have a person committing suicide, they say jump.
Yeah.
They want the pleasure of that.
Yeah, it's sad that past.
No, this
feeling.
country is in very bad shape.
As
And that's the reason why you have elected a communist. In other words, you've elected the devil.
I didn't vote for.
No. But when I mean the country. So the country has elected the devil because of, the numbers, the numbers. So if you have a certain number of people who are broken, then they vote for the devil, because the devil rises and nurtures and justifies their behaviors, see? Yeah? And that's dangerous. And same in marriage. You don't want to justify your behavior of your husband by trying to get some sense of worth for yourself, because you need sense of worth. A gracious lady is rare. Yes. And a gracious father is rare. And between the two of them, they kill each other and destroy the next generation of the struggles and the way they treat their parents. Children, it passes to exponentially. It's very quick.
So, we kind of just talked about the problems in this country and the days and the daydream that most of us are. And I would contend, and I think a lot of us here would say, that the family unit is the only thing that's really going to save it. So, to move on to that next step is, how can I be a good husband for her? And how can I be a good father for my future children?
That's a good question.
The way that the Savior wants me to be.
I shall tell you. You follow those lines I read on that iPhone just now. But the point is, you can't follow it unless you meditate. Unless you be still and let God catch up with you. But if you're still trying to be a good husband without knowing what good is, see, good is Him. And so therefore, looking for to be a good husband because something that, well, let me see if I can gather myself to make the point. There is a little story I can tell you, which happens to everybody. So you have a bad family, and your mother is wicked, cruel. Or your father. Let's start with mother, because all the misery starts with the women, because they never have a man strong enough to say, put down the fruit, Eve. In that sense. See, so what you need to do when she runs off the rails, you've got to say, excuse me, is my eye hurting your elbow? See, put that down, and put that telephone down, and you cannot have that fur coat. See, you can't play with me. I'm not here to be your slave. I'm here to be your servant, as I am the servant of God. And she says, I love, honor, and obey. And you had better be what they call a tyrant that's beneficial, benevolent tyrant. You have to be a benevolent tyrant, meaning you have to be strong enough not to worry about if your wife doesn't give you sex, or your wife gets angry and throws a tantrum. You stay calm, and when it's all over, she'll appreciate you. Because women are naughty little kids, and it comes from the generations and generations and generations, because man never said, put the fruit down, he ate it himself. And then he blames Eve. Men always blame the women for what's wrong with them, because they failed to stand up to them, because they're looking, men born a woman go back to the woman because Christ or God or salvation is not explained to them in a proper way. So they look to their wives for a sense of worth, which is utterly and completely worthless. So as a man, you don't care whether your wife loves you or not. You love her in a way that has no feeling. In other words, love has no feeling. It just does what it does and doesn't even know it's loving. In other words, so when it comes to a disagreement, I'm in charge. So if I'm going to make the mistake, I'll make it. Thank you. See that? Now you can listen to your wife, and there's something about women that can be helpful to you. She also recognizes what you recognize. If you're a good man, and you're a God man, she's also a God woman, but she recognizes that you're right. She goes with you. But if you happen to be a bit skewed and misunderstood, you're misinformed, women have a snake's eye view, pardon the expression, just to make the point. They have a snake's eye view of other people. And when men become women, do you understand when men become women? There's a whole thing there, I can take you there, but you know they do. They're smarter than women. So you've got to be careful of those. And the women will smell that. And she'll say, this man is not trustable, take a look. And you may not see it, but she does. Yes, does that make sense? You listen to her, yeah, but you're not, but the point is, you're not, but you've got to be in charge of making decisions. You've got to make a decision whether she's right or not. But if you're intuitive enough, and if you are perfectly intuitive, you're in tune. And that's how you have a happy marriage. That's pretty rare.
But you won't have a happy marriage unless she gets in tune with God too.
That's what I'm saying.
But as you're talking, I hear you saying more a woman is still looking for a man to find her way, but that's not.
Well, she's married. You're not married.
Well, yeah, but even if I was married, I didn't really start waking up and separating a little bit from my husband until I was able to kind of separate from me wanting to get something from him.
Yes.
I had to find it direct.
But what were you looking for? What were you looking for? What were you really looking for from your husband? Wasn't it?
I was looking for him to be a good
stand-up guy.
Yeah, because I remember one time thinking, oh, if he would just wake up, my life would be so much easier.
Yes.
And I thought, what a cop-out, Susan. And when I saw that, it was like, well, I need to find it myself. What I'm looking for.
You can find it for yourself.
And you can find it for yourself. But when a woman realizes she can find it for herself.
Correct.
And as
she doesn't need to be married.
She finds it. Right, she doesn't need to be married, but she's married and she looks for her husband to be, because he is the protector.
Yeah, but no, I'm losing you.
Okay.
But are you divorced?
I'm a widow.
You're a widow.
Yeah.
What kind of husband did you have?
He was more bull.
Huh?
He was a bull. Intimidating.
Bully.
Yeah, bully.
Well, you got what you didn't need.
Yeah.
You lost what you didn't need.
Well, I had to wimp the first one and then.
So how would you marry again?
How?
Or would you?
No.
I don't recommend it.
No, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, because you are an intelligent woman, now to develop your. Every woman has the same proclivity of intuition as a man. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to recognize the kind of man you want. The trouble is, Eve is there. If that's a big if, but if you have the perfect father, and remember who the perfect father is to all of us is Jesus, right?
Right.
You would find, but if you had the perfect father, just earthly father, then you would be able to pick out all the phonies and understand that, and you would be married and lived happy ever after.
Right.
But the problem is you don't, because you come from the lineage where, you know, do unto others was done unto them, and in the lineage of one man, sin and death through sin spreads to the human race. If you look at every family, broken.
But I guess I'm
Everyone
saying
family.
that lineage of the woman, I'm not sure how to say it, so attached to the man is our fallen state.
I tell my wife all the
So-
time, you must not be attached to me.
Right, so the woman,
You have bonding. You have a bonding, but
you
not
have
bondage.
a bonding, but
But
you're
there's a
still,
difference between the
you have to
two.
find your God individually.
You have to
Or-
find separation from me. She has to be her own person.
Exactly.
And unless it,
People,
if she isn't, if she's not a whole person and compatible with my whole person,
yes,
see, then she's going to torment me for the rest of my life. And as long as I can stand my ground and never lose my cool, I'm a better man.
right, and she
And
has
she
to,
starts to
do
break
the
down.
same. is
She will start
find
to
her
break down,
way.
and it doesn't bother me a bit if she drops dead right in front of me.
Right.
You sound
But,
like that.
but at the
I
same
am that way.
time,
No,
time, that's the same way
I
a
am
woman
that
is.
way. I've told you that before.
Well, I'll tell you what I told you before. If you weren't the kind of
Well,
man
you need to have.
were,
No, wait a second. If you have something to say,
yeah.
there you
No,
are.
I don't need.
You need a microphone. You can't
I'll hold
speak.
it for you.
Oh, okay.
And I'll hold it for you.
Oh, thank you. I just said, if you were not the kind of man you were, I wouldn't have married you in the first place. I recognized in you that you were not the average man, and you didn't have in you what the lust that most men have. That's right. That's it. No more.
I have to ask you a question. Why do you keep giving me a hard time 63 years later?
You want to get comfortable?
No, but see, but that could be perfect.
Yeah.
Because that could be God's will, that it be that way for me. It's because most people would have been driven mad. See, I'm telling you, if I knew what I knew now, what did it say about the Bible? But nothing disturbs him. He survives everything. He endures everything. So it has to be with marriage. You must, as a man, endure everything. With all the little games that are being played, and you catch them doing it, that's their programming. And so when you get married, expect war.
That's right.
If you think otherwise, you're going to have a terrible shock. But you have to win the war. She needs saving. You need to save her from hell. It's inherited hell.
But that's the pressure she feels, is you trying to save her from hell.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
And if she's an individual, she's going to find that, oh dear.
Well, you're on the right track. Keep
She
going.
needs to find that on her own. So that extra pressure that comes from you, which is the fallen state, because a woman should be ruled
Why
by
can't
her
she find
husband.
it, though? The reason why she finds it because
Because she's in it all the time.
No.
And it's present all the time?
Yes, it's present all that, but that shouldn't hurt anything. No,
Well, if she's-
she has me on a pedestal.
Okay.
I used to,
Oh.
he's just a regular person now.
But that's true. If you have somebody on a pedestal, then it's hard to.
Well, then you
To find- you
made
can't
me
find
the God. And if you have the woman on a pedestal, you're even worse off.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Can you stand up?
How do you do that when I'm the girl?
You don't say.
Hold on. And I'm the snake in the grass.
What was that?
I'm the snake in the grass on my right side, and I could kind of feel it right now. But I'm also on the left side trying to be the love that I have that's in me through starting to understand about the love of God and the love of Jesus. Because my husband, I can't go to him at this point, and it just is what it is. So I have that fight almost daily within my own
Yes.
self.
Hold your horses. Just a minute. You remember, love endures everything. You're not enduring. So you're not.
Not.
See, so you need, what you need to be, since you have the mechanic here, I'm the mechanic. I'm talking about the mechanisms of what love is, which is missing from the scripture. It just says wonderful things, and you can mechanically do all that. And it can spread to lots of guilty Romans in those days. But what's really required is the root, the absolute root of Paradise Lost. We need to actually, you need to have connection to your Creator just like that. And then you need to endure all things. You need to endure that SOB husband, okay?
But it's not my husband, it's me.
No, but you still have to endure him. No, he
Okay.
is broken. You have to think of him as a broken person.
But
As-
I don't know.
but you were a broken person that married him looking for an answer from another broken person.
Okay, but I want to remove him. I don't.
But you're still married, aren't
no,
you
No,
still-
I don't want to leave Kevin. I don't want to remove. I mean, in my life, he's not relevant. It's only the struggle that.
No,
it's-
no, you're
it's the
not.
same
You're not
between
living on an
me-
island. You're not living in isolation. You're married. No, you're not missing. You are married that man, for better or for worse.
Yes.
It's worse. It's worse because you are now tormenting him and suppressing your torment the best way you can and going crazy. So every time he does something stupid, you add stupid to stupid, and therefore he gets worse. It's up to you to not react, because when you react, he looks at you. When you start to react to his pressure, if you are calm, see, there's something you need to understand about human beings. They're parasites. They're doing unto others what was done to you makes you part of a big siphon all the way to the top, because doing unto others, when someone does something to you, you react. You empower this person to do it again to you. And again. And if you're married, again and again, because you don't walk away. But if you're not married, it's always somebody doing it to you. And if you're in the role of an appeaser, you'll always be appeasing the bully.
I don't know if I'm not listening to you or if you're not hearing what I'm saying.
I'm hearing what you're saying.
It's me. It's my own self. If Kevin were gone, for instance, he goes to work and leaves town for 5 days. I'm sitting in the chair fighting with my own self.
Okay.
And so
No, you're not fighting.
There is God.
No, you're not fighting yourself. You don't get it. You're fighting another self.
Yes.
You're fighting what's got inside you,
Yes.
what your parents put inside you. Whatever. And they put it in you. They put that confusion into you, which is absolutely incurable, except you meditate. But if you think that you can save yourself, or if you think you can save your husband by going along with him,
No.
out of love, you go along with him, and then he gets worse. And then you get upset, and he gets worse. And you get upset because you're guilty when you're upset. When you're guilty when you're upset, then you want to try to make peace with him again. And the more you try to make peace with him, the more you empower him to be a bully. And the more he's a bully, the more you get upset. The more you get upset, the more guilty you are. The more guilty you are, you try to be a good person, not guilty, by doing nicer things to him, hoping that you can save him one day.
Myself. It's me that I'm doing that to. When I sit down and I'm impatient, I'm listening to
Love is
God.
patience.
Right. So I have God. Roy, I need you to really just maybe.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean asking God? You're absolutely confused.
I know.
No, you can't ask God for anything.
No, I'm asking you that I realize that I'm getting well.
You what?
I'm getting well, And I realize it's through the grace of God and through understanding that I've been forgiven, that Jesus did die for me,
Yes.
and that there is something else inside of me. I realize that.
Yes.
But there's that fight within my own soul. Like what you said, for him to be
you're
patient with
contrary.
her.
You got it right, and then you got it wrong all of a sudden. You cannot save yourself. The fight with your soul is a fight with the asshole of the other guy. Excuse the expression.
But I'm the asshole. That's what I'm saying.
I know, exactly. But you see, you're fighting for another part of you. Your parents got into you. Your parents had something get into them.
Okay.
It goes way back. You've got to look at your parents and say, I'm standing in their shoes. They couldn't help it. That's called compassion. In the minute you see they can't help it, you can't help but let it go. And the minute you let it go, God loves you. He has given you the power to let things go. He's given you that power. But you keep getting in the way by trying to fix the self that's inside you that was put there.
Yes.
And the more you put it there, it's like fighting your parent still alive in you, or the spirit of the parent. It's alive in you and it wants you to fight it.
It does.
It knows that you're going to lose. It knows you're going to lose every time.
So it's its own self.
But if you look at it and see your parents, you know, my dad, he wasn't born that way. Can't you think like that? He wasn't born that way. He got that way because his parents were that way. And the parents got that way because they had parents. And it goes back to Adam and Eve. The first murder, Cain kills Abel. It didn't get very far.
Roy, every time I want to speak up and say something, something prevents me from doing so. I
There's
have
something,
an entity in me that doesn't
but
want me
I think you're permanently possessed.
permanent.
I'm a little bit disturbed about you. You've been coming a long time saying the
I
same thing.
have, and I couldn't
You're
speak
stubborn.
up.
I don't think your own family can stand you.
They can't.
See? And I had to exercise your whole family.
Yes,
And you put that into them.
I didn't
And you're
know
the
I
root.
did that.
And you're the nice, sweet little lady that sits there and polite and everything. You don't look like the devil.
I'm not.
But you're basically,
I'm
you're playing the
angry.
role of it.
I'm an angry, selfish lady.
Yes.
I am.
Well,
And I want to speak up, but there's something in me that prevents me. And I know I have an entity
I don't
in me.
understand prevent. Does anybody...
It won't come out.
No,
But
No, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. It has no power to prevent you. You believe that it's convinced you. Doubt is upside down faith.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
So therefore, if you doubt, you trust the doubt as if it was faith. So that's a lie. It's not preventing you.
I let it make
It's
a home
tricked you.
in me.
No, it's tricked you. It's tricked you into owning you. But when you understand the trick, you say, oh, I've given it the energy to keep tormenting me like this and making me think that I owe myself to it, like you owe yourself to God. It's a dark God you got, but it has no power except the power you give it.
And I'm getting to that point. I was a
Well, then
people
get to that point.
I was a people pleaser for years and years, and I'm getting away from that. And I see when I do something wrong, I catch myself or I look at it.
And what else do you do when you do something wrong? Is it a wrong to a person, or is it you bought the wrong hat?
No. It's when I feel I say the wrong thing.
So
Sometimes-
what do you do right away?
Right away, I just look at it because there's
That's
nothing I
just
can
the right
do.
way. How about say, sorry, excuse me. I had a plumber in my house many years ago, and he was doing a really lousy job. And I said, you know what? I can see you don't know what you're doing, but I have to apologize for resenting you. See, so that was it. And I said, he said, I said, I'm going to pay you. He says, money is important to me. I said, money is not important to me. I'll pay you. But the thing is, you're not a good plumber. But I resented you for that. I owe you that. Now you can leave. That's it. I apologized to him. He was doing wrong to me. But my apology was resenting him. See, here's your money now. I was finished with it. See, so how does that apply to you? Why can't you do the same thing? Why can't you?
Done that.
Why can't you say? But you said you don't. You just.
No,
you
I
just say-
have. I have apologized to my daughter and to my son-in-law.
No, 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 no. When the resentment comes, it's immediate. You speak of your resentment, because resentment is a judgment, and judgment is mine, saith the Lord. So you've got to be very careful of two things that you judge, and you keep it to yourself for a little while. You can sort of gnash on it. I mean, in Jewish we say, you have a nice, you eat it, delicious. See, so you nibble on it. And when you finish and it gets bad enough, you might apologize, but this is just a noise. It's right away.
As soon as
I'm
it
sorry.
happens. Yes.
I talked to the plumber. My problem is I resented you. That's not good for me, and it's not good for you. And it got to. I have to tell you a little story. How doing the right thing. So I have a truck, an old truck. I need to work on the front. So I delivered it, and he gives me he said, I'll let you know how much it is. So my wife is in the office, and he calls in, it's going to be so much money. Says, no matter, it's just a matter of alignment, I'll have it fixed. I think I'm being taken, basically. I said, tell this man, just leave it alone, I'll pick it up. So when I went to pick it up, he done it. And he make an argument. You know, I said to my wife, no, don't do it. See. And, I heard her say, please don't do it. He did it anyway. So I have to fork over money. I said, we had a little argument. I don't get mad. And so I said, I'll tell you what I would do. We'll settle this. Money is not important to me. It's principle. And he says, money is not important to me. It's principle. And I said, no. Money is not important to me. Here's my credit card. And he says, money is important to me. I don't want it. I say, thank you. I made him say that. I told you it's easy. I've done that a couple times.
Through and through.
I'm Jewish.
I know.
You don't get my money easy.
If I could just say,
Don't you understand? It's cool. You've got to stay real. I mean, I'm getting what I'm supposed to get. I got justice. I actually had a little benefit. He fixed the car. He tried to cheat me. I didn't cheat him. He volunteered to give it to me. See? It's just, I play games, but it's a good game. It's healthy. He needs to give it to me. And so if you want love from your husband, don't hate him. Just say he wasn't born that way. So when he comes home, make him a nice dinner. See, and empty your heart with anger and hostility towards your own father. You understand what I mean by your own father?
I do understand what you're saying to me. You're saying it a different way than my question, but it still applies. Because
It does apply.
It applies because as you're talking to me, that entity that you've helped show the light. And
You're you're feeding the entity in
I
him.
am. And I realize that I'm allowing the part of me to have more power than what it deserves.
Yes, that's the woman thing.
And
that's the dark side.
And when you say that I can't fix myself, what that thing on the right is doing, because I could actually feel it in my right eye, is that it's getting me to feel something, and then it flips and tries to answer as if it were God answering,
Yes.
but it's not God answering,
No.
so it keeps me in this very
Look,
confused.
I'll give you something that says that. Machinery. Here's the machinery. You get upset. You don't know what good is. I can tell you when you're upset, you do not know what good is. All you've done is played into a person who weakens you. So in the end, you try to please him. See that? And so the whole thing really is very, very simple. Is you've got to find the be still and know way. And when you're very still, and you don't try to help God with helping him with willfulness. See what you do with your sickness. You want to be a good person, so you will yourself to be better. And so you may have had that little voice in you when you were a little girl. When I grow up, I'm going to be the nicest woman to my husband, the best mother to my children. But at that point, the fact that you got upset with your parents, that you couldn't help. You couldn't. I'm not saying you blame you. You can't help that. It's what you have when you come into the world. You get infected, and that infection goes on to the next generation, and to the next marriage, and so you have to suffer. And this suffering is good because you can actually see what suffering is, where the suffering was very small, and what didn't seem to. You could hide it. You can't hide it now. You're going crazy. Right?
I think that I possibly was possessed as a small child because I honestly, my life, I don't remember thinking. I feel very stupid. I don't remember learning. I don't know things. And I believe that I was possessed, and it took me along. And I've had 4 children, like I've said, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
By struggle. But you struggle with it. Correct.
I always struggled with it.
I know, but struggle is like struggling with your father, but he isn't there.
Yes.
Whatever is it that was in your father is not your father, it's what's coming into you and doing to you what did to him.
Not only did it do it to me, but it allowed, because I identified with it so much, then it's hurt every person I've come in contact with, because I don't know very much about myself.
But that's the machinery.
I know that, and it's okay. But in this...
Well, stop for a minute, Stop being angry with your own self. Yes. Stop when the little voice inside you says, you're not trying hard enough to be better.
Yes.
You don't know what better is. Right. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. You don't know what it is. So you think you know what it is if you try harder to be better. Yes. You wanted to be better, but you're being tricked into making it worse because you don't know the machinery, the magic behind what better really is. It's not just an act of kindness on the surface. It's real. And you're not in control of it. And you have to learn to be calm and not affected. That's the key. You have to find salvation which waits for you since the day you were born. And when it comes into you, it won't let you be angry. It will never let you be angry. You can't make me angry. You can put a gun to my head. I'm not going to be angry. Well, I'm not going to be frightened either.
Well,
one
thing is I woke up, and I woke up so suddenly and with such force. There was the most incredible beauty, and there was pure God. It was pure God for a very, maybe 2 months. But it was so incredible and so pure. There was so much that came in. And now it was so powerful that in that moment, I could have been almost like you if that would have stayed in me in those moments. And then that other part is just so, and I can see that it will go.
I told you, you still have the inclination to doubt what's
God.
wrong, as if it was right. You have to understand that doubt. I have to tell you my story of the bicycle. It's very quick. I try to lock my door, and it's locked when I'm leaving for work as a kid. I'm 16. And so I've got to go 10 miles on my bicycle in the cold, in the snow. So I lock the door and go downstairs, and something says, you don't lock the door, so I go back, and it's locked. So that's all right. That's not a big deal. It's a big deal when I'm halfway there and something says, you haven't locked the door. See? And so I said, go away. Screw you. Lock the door. And I'm free. The minute, if in that minute I would go back and have trouble going to work because I didn't lock the door, I have conflict, I'm a dead man right away. It's going to be the rest of my life. So in the beginning, when you start to sit still, you better not doubt it.
No, I don't doubt it.
No, because doubt is an opposite, is an upside down faith, and you will do as you're told. Faith is a right side up faith. I do as I'm told. But either way, it doesn't tell you what to do beforehand. It knows it knows that you have a weakness. It has the reactions, and so all it has to do is push the reaction, push the button, and you start to struggle to make yourself a better person. And all you do is get worse. I know every dot and tittle. See, and that's what's missing in the scripture. No one's going to tell you this, but it just love Jesus and we believe in him and all the rest of it. But that's not belief. It's a belief about him. It's not the same as believing in him, unless you have the machinery. And the machinery's gone.
Is it not there, though, in all of us?
But you know, if I explain it to you, you'll say, yeah, I never saw it that way. I never saw it. I don't know what to be still and know is. Ask your pastor what be still and know means. There is an article on my iPhone. I was going to read it to you. And maybe I will. I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to try something here. Here it is. 1 second. Oh dear. Okay. Oh dear, Paul. Yeah, here's one here. It's interesting. Paul sent this to me. The world's oldest person celebrates her 116th birthday in Detroit. And I've got a picture of it. She looks only 65. She says, the secret to a long life is to treat people as you want to be treated. Right on the money. She did it. And you look at the picture, she looks like a 65-year-old woman. Absolutely amazing. And then there's another one. Let me see if I have that one. Here. Well, anyway, the other one says something different. Oh dear, what a pity. I have them all together. It says meditation. I won't go into that now, but I was looking for it. It says meditation, other than what I do, has 60% mental derangement that goes with it. There's that they've done a double-blind test in England, and says exactly what I say. When you're meditating with anything foreign, yoga, everything, there's mental problems, severe ones, and the ones that don't recover are machines for the system. Meditation is what I want from you. What I need from you is not to put me on a pedestal. There's no extra. Once you start to meditate, you don't need me anymore. If you want to buy a book, that's nice. If you want to donate, that's nice. I don't push anything. I want you to be free. America can't be free with preachers and rabbis. Nothing. There's no freedom in this world because you have a following. I don't follow anybody. I don't want you to follow me. I want you to follow what's in you. And I want to bear witness to that it is in you. And it's not necessary. It's in me, so I bear witness to it. That's all I say. You have it. It's like I have a bad memory. And every now and then you have to say, I've lost the memory, and all of a sudden you give me the word. I say, oh, that's it. So you have it, but you've forgotten it. You've forgotten where it is. So I sit still, and I guide you through a simple technique. You find what you're looking for, and you're just like a little kid becoming as a little child. You can no ways enter the kingdom, correct? But that's another verse. How do you become as a little child? All the scribes and Pharisees, everybody says, what do you mean by that? You can't act like a little child. You don't know what it is. It's intellectual. The reading is intellectual. He never left a book. He said, I'll send the Holy Spirit. Screw the books. The books are nice. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with reading it. But you want to read the Bible? You want to read physics? Don't read line by line and try to remember it. Just scan the page. And what you're ready to understand will stick out. Close the book and leave it alone. Let it germinate. All of a sudden it's a living thing. After a while you won't need any books because the intuition leads to more intuition. But books lead to more books. So you become more stupid.
When you read those books, because I have your books and another person's books, and I feel like when I read them, I'm going to become them, because if I just get what everybody has, then you'll become some of that.
You see, no, you got to stop. I can't talk to you too much because I'm taking time away from the audience. But you can't become what the book wants you to be. You can't become what your mother wants you to be. You want to be sweet? You don't know what sweet is. You know kind? You don't know what kind is. You've got to be the essence of it. It's got to be there. Look, see? Do I have the essence of it? I want to share it with you. You know I have the essence of it. I know I have the essence of it. I love it. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I've run away from the veterans, but, you know, I'm a veteran. I don't want you to fall to the enemy. And as long as you can't stand up for yourself, as long as you're confused, as long as you don't have family, and as long as the family falls apart and you take advantage of no-fault divorce and you vote for homosexuals, then all you're doing is degrading everything. You cannot conquer a noble people. And the ministers of this country do not know how to bring a noble people. All they want is their own love of power, standing every week and reading something they've written all week. And it's very nice and it's very interesting, it's poetic, it's like poetry. I hate poetry. I hate the pictures it presents in your brain, all the clever words. You can look like that, you're hypnotized. No, what you need is plain stuff. Simple stuff. You can grasp this. It's only one thing. Meditate, sit quiet, let your thoughts go by. Any thoughts that come up that's improper, you watch it. And it requires a sorry, a genuine sorry to your mother or your father. But you don't rush out and do it. Intuition says that's what it is. Intuition, you wait for the visit to your parent and say, Father, you know, I've an apology to make to you, and he's a bad father. You still go to him if you want to, and when the time comes, you can't produce the timing. It needs to be done, but you don't know when. So don't let worry about when it is. See, if you worry about that it will come. I see it, thank you, and it cleanses you right away. And other things will be going on, but then he's in charge of everything, just like the devil is in charge of everything. I've got an iPhone. They know wherever I want, wherever I am, they know what I want. If he can do it with the iPhone, you can call me and find me in Timbuktu, right there. Don't you think God can find you and send the Spirit? Of course. This is a good analogy.
Very quickly, I just realized as you were speaking to me, I honestly found forgiveness. I was here with you. And that allowed a space that was filled with that evil. It made space for God. And it might not be a lot of space. So at this point, it's just only in my right side at this moment. It wants that
this lady
space.
is very troubled, and she has all the foibles of the thought processes multiplying into so many different ways until they eat you up completely. If you look at the average person, they get old before their time.
Mm-hmm. But what I see right now is that I have that space that belongs to God, and that other thing's trying to fill it up through tricking me. And I can see that it's there, though.
That's exactly
and
so.
That's why I like to come here, because it just helps that space stay.
Yes.
And I know I can do it by myself. If you died or if I had to go away, I know I would be okay.
Okay, sit down now because we have enough. We've got other people who want to call, speak. Oh, yes.
I have something to say. I appreciate Brenda.
And she's giving you some very
Yes.
good information.
And she really is, because as she was speaking, I was letting go myself of that struggle that I don't always like to.
There you are. See, you're
Look at.
looking at the machinery.
The
You're looking at
machinery.
machinery.
I was so glad when that resonated with me,
Yeah.
when you said machinery. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And
Because the machine
meditation.
adds up. It adds up, subtracts, it goes crazy.
And like you said, we can't produce anything.
No.
It has to come from.
Of myself I can do nothing, he says. Why are we making him God? Of myself I can do nothing. The Father within me, he doth it. How can they make Jesus God? Reading that, and people do because they're mesmerized.
I understand.
He doesn't want you to think. He's going to send you the Spirit. He doesn't want to be in the way. He just shows the way. He bears witness the way. And all the illnesses, diseases come from one thing, no faith. If you have faith, you have the magical power to live to 115 if you want to.
And I like when you talk about how just keep meditating that all will be revealed, because it's so true. I've grown, I know within myself that I understand really more so and more so what it means to be still and know. And all
Not a big deal.
big and small problems disappear, just
Disappear.
as you shared with us.
And
through the years.
then you're a whole person. And then you live free.
Yes.
That's what freedom is.
Now, I'm just going to share this. About 30 years ago, I guess it was about 30 years ago, I was almost in a car accident. I was driving and my brakes went out, and I had to go down this hill. But the angels, the Lord, he was there. He was with me, because there were no cars. Usually this was a busy street and there were cars going by, but no cars, and I was okay. But I must have panicked, resented the situation, because I've had this dream for
Very
years
soon,
about
yeah.
that. The car's not the
I
brake,
know
but I'm
that,
just
that's it.
watching it like a bad movie more and more.
Yeah, good.
Because it happened the other day. It wasn't the same dream, but it was like it was me going
You
around in a
You've got to
circle.
understand. This is the magic.
Okay.
Here's the magic. If you follow that simple thing to endure everything, etc., etc., and not to do it to others, it's all. You read that again. It's all there. Okay? And you don't have to study all that much. Knowledge passes away. See,
Yeah, and I just realized I don't panic like I used to
No,
about
but here's
it's
the
just
thing.
not attached.
No matter how many things bad happen to me, bad to kill me in different ways, subtle, obvious, no matter how bad it was, I never flinched. And I always came back stronger than I was before. You think I'm some kind of weakling? No.
No.
You don't want to mess with it. I'm going to tell you one other story. If you perfect your perfection with your Jesus, your Savior, if you do that, the people hate you die. The people hate you die. The people who react and love you live. So you're not something to be messed with. And you will walk and have your being, in effect, keeps the trouble away. It makes the potentates of the president, whoever runs the country, it makes them afraid. Just your very existence.
That's real courage. That I see.
You are
As you're speaking.
literally radiating a force that you do not know is there. It's taken me a long time to see a long line of dead people messing with me. Everyone dies. Not everyone, or they get better, one or two. So it's best to not listen to me at all. Live your rotten life out. Die having never lived. Jesus was a tremendous threat. Tremendous, fearful. You see the wake of destruction of all the people that hurted him. I mean, who was it who committed suicide? Judas, bang, just like that, immediately. He didn't pay a bit of attention. See?
Well, while we were visiting, I was just thinking of some some points, and it almost seems like a lot of the struggle that we have with our families, with marriages, with the country, almost seems like we overemphasize the value of peace, happiness.
Exactly so.
It's not that important. We should be strong enough that we're okay with pain or sorrow.
Or you don't mind a little bit of struggle.
Yeah, and
You don't mind a fight.
And it's like you said, it's like if it were not for that struggle, how could we ever act
Exactly.
Christ-like?
Yeah. So you need a struggle. It doesn't mean to say because you become God's child that you don't have any trouble. No, it gets worse. But you get better from it. And as you get better, it becomes less and less worse. And even but even if it becomes more and more worse, and you die for it, it's okay too. See?
What I guess what he's saying is that
It comes back to the veterans. They know that.
Yeah.
The good veteran wants to go fight the fight again.
there's got to be opposition in all things, and the relationships with our spouse. Without it, there's no growth.
That's
And
correct.
yet, when we have it, we're so resentful and pissed.
You
Like,
got it.
why did
Yeah.
that happen? And we just fight against it, and that's where you're saying the conflict, the struggle. You got to let it go
Yeah.
because it's there for a reason, so you can grow. And
Yeah,
become
his
more
problem
perfect.
mustn't become yours by reacting. Then he looks at you as something wrong with you rather than looking at yourself. So you give him power.
And it does become our problem, like you said, once we react. And I've seen that with my own family members, and then the more I speak up and tell them exactly what I think, they just cower down more, like you
Back
said.
off.
And it doesn't matter if they die, even. Like you said.
It doesn't matter if they drop dead.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes,
I
I'm too
emphasize
attached.
that.
I know.
You
found-
are going to
yeah.
be something that is so invulnerable, you die trying, while giving you the benefit of being a better person and pleasing God.
Yes, I understand. I'm getting.
And if it comes to fisticuffs, if it comes to that, I have plenty of means of taking care of that, if you don't mind me saying so. I'm looking forward to. I don't mind. I look forward to it. No.
Have a good blast.
No. Basically, this is not a brag, but I look forward to a good fight. I don't mean a fight like you fight, or people fight. I look forward to. I'm not afraid of anything. I don't know what afraid means. I called the president a scumbag. He's not, and a communist. And you got what you deserve. He's the devil that rose out of hell to make you feel better than you are, you rotten so-and-sos. See? Nobody calls me. Anybody want to call me about this? No. 55 years? No. They're afraid of me. But it isn't me. I'm just me. I bleed. It's all. You can kill me. I'm just going to do what I do. I'm going to be here for a little while longer. Who knows? I might be make it to 116 like the lady, but I don't think I'm going to look like her. All right. Well, it's been nice of you to come. Did you know 2 hours just passed? Doesn't feel like it, does it? I want to make a point. When we're talking about machinery, the metaphysicalness of your machinery, your mind, you're not living in time. See, I don't live in time. My consciousness lives in time, my body lives in time, so I have a presence and a present, a time present and a timeless presence. So I don't feel time. The clock, oops, it went 2 hours. It went 24 hours. The weeks have gone by. I just feel it's as always now. What's in me doesn't need time. I can't be pulled into the time, which is my body connection to the world. See? And I know what time is. I can actually tell you what time is, and that you can't find that in a book. You can't find out what gravity is in a book. You can't find out how the universe was created in a book. And the only part I hold back is how I can get energy from it, because there's enough energy waiting right now that you can destroy the whole world. So we've got to have a better time before I can talk about the rest of it. But this I can produce. We have to have this kind of conversation. Hopefully it spreads. One of the nice things you could do is put an ad in the paper. Post-traumatic stress disorder and all kinds of problems, free. Go to and go to antidoteforall.com, then they won't know it's me. The media has put a bad stamp on me, so I don't need to be identified. You just say, put a little ad in the paper. It costs $15, $20 a month. You want to overcome stress, post-traumatic stress disorder, and then put the antidoteforall.com, and that's how you can do it. Okay, it's all right. We're 10 minutes over time, right? Okay, I can go wherever if you don't shut me up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not getting enough support from you, but thank you for those of you who do. If you find these valuable, it costs money to bring it to you. Thank you very much. You want to know where to send it? Look it up on the website, fhu.com. Thank you.